Once upon a time, Harjit Singh waited for his luggage to come while perched on a bench beside the airport carousel. He wasn't used to the temperature and was also exhausted and chilly. It was 37 degrees in Amritsar, India, where he originally from. It was only 14 degrees in Paris. "Hurry up, Harjit," his father yelled. "The driver won't be able to hold out much longer for you." Harjit was somewhat agitated. He was reluctant to travel to Paris. He wanted to stay in India with his pals, but they had to leave the country and start over since his father had accepted a job offer in France. Harjit was still waiting by the luggage carousel when he felt like he was being watched. As he turned to look around, he noticed a youngster who appeared to be around the same age as Harjit, 10 years old. The youngster was annoyed and embarrassed because the boy was gazing at his turban. Harjit approached the carousel in a furious manner and noticed a large bag that resembled his own. Even though he wasn't quite convinced the bag was his, he took it. All he knew was that he needed to leave the airport and escape the prying eyes. Harjit stared out the window as they sped toward their new flat, noting how different everything appeared from the way it did at home. It was more clean. There were several stunning, large structures with sculptures on top and gold paint all over them. The ground was drenched with rain, and the sky was exceedingly gloomy. He observed several individuals conversing and having coffee while sitting outside of stores. Harjit slid down the window to listen as the vehicle came to a stop at a set of traffic lights. He thought to himself, "They talk really strangely," but he recognized that this was all a part of the experience. "You'll gain from this," his father stated as they left India. "There are so many of your pals who would kill to see Europe. You shouldn't be frightened. An adventure it is." Harjit noticed an odd type of stillness on the road as the automobile continued to go. He observed, the automobiles are not honking at each other in Paris. There are several automobiles, but they are all traveling in orderly rows in distinct lanes. The automobiles aren't even getting stuck, they're simply rolling along. India is not at all like this. As they proceeded to go through the city, they eventually came upon a large, odd metal structure where many people were gathered, snapping pictures. "I wonder what that is. Perhaps it resembles the Taj Mahal or the Golden Temple, where tourists from all over the world travel to snap photos." As a man on a bicycle crossed the road in front of them, the automobile abruptly halted. The child had to smile to himself as the man waved his hand in appreciation. He reflected, this is a really odd nation, where automobiles stop for pedestrians to cross the roadways. The moment the family entered their new flat, Harjit's father informed him that it was already late and that he had to register for school the next day. Harjit went to his new room and locked the door behind him while pouting. The small youngster was once more in awe of his new surroundings when he finally entered the building, though. With enormous windows lining one wall of the room, it was a very spacious space. Even Harjit and all of his buddies stacked on top of one another wouldn't be able to reach up and touch the ceiling because of how high it was. The young youngster was also distressed by this thinking since it made him miss his family and friends. He got into the bed and buried his head in the pillows while sobbing since he had no other options. The next morning, just as light was beginning to completely emerge, Harjit awakened and realized that it had not been a horrible dream at all. He had actually been in Paris. He wriggled out of bed and peered at a few individuals through the window. Everything was very unlike from Amritsar. He missed the Golden Temple's incessant din of rickshaws, automobiles, and people. That noise had a very reassuring quality to it. He was accustomed to it and already missed it. He made the decision to go through the pictures of his friends and family that he had packed. He crossed his knees as he sat on the ground and drew his bag closer to him. But just as he started to open the bag, he found that it had a little keychain on the zipper that was shaped like a towering skyscraper that he had seen the day before while driving to the airport. When he unzipped the bag, a flash of gold appeared, resembling the opening of a pirate's chest, and he spotted something glittering and recognizable within. An image of the Taj Mahal and another of the Golden Temple were in the bag. There were more Indian artifacts. This just increased his need for home. He took the icons out of the case and kissed them one by one before putting them back in the case. He was overjoyed to see such recognizable items from his beloved India, but he was also quite terrified. This isn't my purse. How will I explain to Papa that I picked up the wrong suitcase at the airport? A voice cried out abruptly from the corridor. Harjit's father was there. My son, get up. It's time to get ready for school, Harjit. I hope you are looking forward to meeting new people, picking up a new language, and trying out new cuisine. You have so much to discover and do. The doorway was suddenly filled with the smiling face of Harjit's father. Do you recall how we discussed this? He questioned his son. You should find this quite exciting. Harjit's eyes were sorrowful as he turned to see his father. But Papa, the boy at the airport yesterday was gazing at my turban. If I had to chop my hair, what then? There aren't many smiles around here, and everyone talks, but I can't understand them. Even if they don't speak much English, I think I can understand them because I learned it at school. I won't want to return home. I even forgot to take my own clothing from the airport since I picked up the wrong luggage. After making his last admission, Harjit rushed to his father and started sobbing in his arms. Son, don't worry. You wait and see if everything is well today. You must have courage, self-assurance, and faith in your abilities. Get ready, then come downstairs with your mother and I to eat breakfast. We will soon get your suitcase as well when I call the airport. You'll observe. After breakfast was over, Harjit's disposition much improved. In order for his father to transport him to school, he gave his mother a quick kiss before rushing out the door and into the car. Harjit noted there were a number of kids waiting outside the school gates when they eventually arrived. Each one of them wore a sharp outfit, spoke French, and none of them wore a turban. The young guy had extreme anxiety all of a sudden. When his father became aware of this alteration in his attitude, he extended his hand to his only son and said, "Let's in and have a look around," I said. "There is nothing to lose by just looking." He stated this while grinning, as if it were all some sort of grand adventure. Young Harjit felt much better after hearing this. Harjit observed several images of the large metal edifice taped to the walls all around as they proceeded down a lengthy corridor. As they passed by the previous evening on their way from the airport, he saw the tiny keychain on the bag and all the people using their cameras. This building must be crucial to this area, Harjit reasoned to himself. I'm curious as to its name. Harjit observed a youngster weeping on his own in the hallway as they waited in a big reception room for the headmaster to come out and meet them. I recognized the boy from when I saw him at the airport the day before. Harjit pondered, unable to hold back his shock. That is the boy who was gazing at my turban, she said. Harjit grabbed his dad's sleeve. Papa, take a look. The kid that was gazing at me yesterday is that one. Why don't you go and introduce yourself then? His father had an idea. Some folks are only inquisitive. They have no malicious intent. Harjit made the daring decision to approach the youngster and smile at him. The youngster looked at Harjit with a hint of embarrassment that he had been seen sobbing. My name is Harjit, good day. I came yesterday from India. Do you speak English at all? I do speak a little English, the child said after a little pause. Pierre here. Why are you sad, Pierre? Harjit asked. Pierre continued by describing how he had recently returned from India following his family's vacation. I am scheduled to present to my class tomorrow so that I can share with everyone what I saw in India and show them all of the stuff I acquired along the trip, but I misplaced my suitcase at the airport and now I don't know what to do, the student said. I don't believe it, exclaimed Harjit. I think I have your bag at home. I took it from the carousel by mistake. You are the boy from the carousel? Harjit pointed with both of his thumbs at his chest and stated, That's me. They were able to hold a really good discussion while using their imperfect English. After some time, both of them significantly perked up. Harjit hurried up to his father to tell him everything as Pierre was happy to have discovered the lost bag. On that day, Pierre introduced Harjit to several new classmates and made sure he was well informed about what to anticipate from his new school. Harjit inquired over lunch about the massive metal structure he had seen the previous evening and in all of the school photos. Pierre remarked, scarcely masking his pride, that is the Eiffel Tower. Originally constructed for the World Exhibition to commemorate the French Revolution, it is now a fantastic tourist destination, and according to my mother, it is one of the most romantic places in the whole world. Harjit returned home at the end of the day to tell his parents about his fantastic experience and all he had discovered and shared. Papa, I didn't believe anybody would be interested in what I have to say or where I'm from, but I was wrong and you were right, the child said. An adventure it is. Harjit was almost too eager to sleep that night as he stretched out on his new bed and listened to the soft rumble of traffic in the street below. The next day, Pierre had requested him to speak up in front of the class and assist with an overview of India. He was excited to learn about French culture and pick up a new language after making so many new acquaintances. He still missed home, but he was starting to see how a little bravery, some compassion, and an open mind might help him become a better person. Indeed, this was the beginning of a brand new journey.